Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are stripping away the marketing gloss and, well, getting straight into the engineering of elite performance. We have a stack of technical documentation, patent descriptions, and industry reports on the desk today.
We do.
And it's all centering on one specific frontier, which is the modernization of the indoor training environment.
It is a really fascinating area because, for the last decade, the focus in this industry has been almost entirely on ball tracking. Radar, cameras, spin rates, decay algorithms.
Right.
We completely mastered the flight of the ball, but we essentially ignored the ground we were standing on.
That is exactly where we need to start. Let's set the stage for you, the listener. You walk into a high-end simulator bay today, right?
Yeah, standard high-performance setup.
You have a $40,000 launch monitor, a 4K projector, a premium impact screen.
It looks like a spaceship.
Exactly. It looks like a spaceship. But then you look down, and you are standing on a static, perfectly flat rubber mat. I call this the flat earth problem of indoor golf.
The flat earth problem. I like that. And from a biomechanical standpoint, it is actually a massive detriment to athletic development.
How so?
Well, think about the reality of outdoor play. How often do you have a perfectly flat lie on a course?
Almost never. Maybe on the tee box.
Right, maybe
Yeah.
the tee box.
Yeah.
Yet we train exclusively on flat surfaces indoors. This creates a deeply ingrained false feedback loop. You develop a swing that works perfectly on a flat plane.
And that builds confidence.
It builds a false sense of security because that swing falls apart the exact moment the ball is 2 inches above your feet or you find yourself on a tight downhill lie.
So the mission for this deep dive is to analyze the technology that is finally solving this specific deficiency. We are looking at a new standard of dynamic surface technology.
Yes.
The source material we are covering today outlines a system that physically alters the terrain beneath your feet in real time. This is not just a mat. It is a robotic platform.
Yeah. Correct. We are analyzing a patented 360-degree indoor experience. The core mechanism here is dynamic tilting. The platform doesn't just sit there as a passive surface.
It's actively engaged.
Right. It communicates directly with the simulator software.
Right.
So when the ball on the screen lands on a hill, the floor you are actually standing on adjusts to match that exact hill.
Let's unpack that mechanism of action, because
Yeah.
historically, mechanical add-ons in golf training have been, well, clunky.
Very clunky.
If there is lag or if it feels jarringly mechanical, it breaks the immersion, it ruins the training effect. So how seamless is this integration?
The documentation heavily emphasizes that this is a true-to-life variable. The platform tilts in real time. It is controlled by the simulator software itself via an API.
Okay, so it's talking directly to the engine.
Exactly. This is a critical distinction. It is not some standalone device where you have to manually punch in, 5 degrees uphill on a little keypad before you hit.
That would be exhausting.
It would be. Instead, it is a fully integrated ecosystem. The simulation engine says, hey, we are on a slope. And the hardware actuators respond immediately.
That brings us to the integration factor. The sources mention that this technology integrates with nearly all leading golf and simulator technology. Why is that interoperability so vital for a high-performance user?
It is about closing the loop. If you have a fragmented system, you are really just exercising. You are hitting balls into a net.
Right.
But when the platform automatically communicates with the launch monitor and the visual software, you create a truly immersive experience.
The text explicitly states that this transforms the environment from static practice to a new standard in golf technology.
Yes. You are no longer hitting into a net. You are reacting to a physical environment.
From coaching perspective, it shifts the mindset from swing practice to golf practice. That is a vital psychological shift for any athlete.
Precisely. And that brings us to the technical breakdown of the hardware. The source material categorizes this technology into 3 distinct tiers or systems. We need to analyze each one to really understand how they serve different aspects of performance training.
Because they aren't just one-size-fits-all platform.
No, not at all.
Let's start with System 1, which is referred to in the technical specs as the full swing solution, or TruePR. What is the primary function here?
The TruePR system is designed specifically for full swing, uneven lie simulation. And the key metric here, according to the data, is the tracking of precise pitch and roll data.
Pitch and roll. That sounds more like aviation dynamics than golf instruction.
It is pure engineering language, yeah, but it applies perfectly to human biomechanics here. Pitch is the up and down slope, so uphill or downhill lies relative to your target line.
And roll.
Roll is the side-to-side tilt, the ball being above or below your feet. This system allows a player to physically experience those variables in a highly controlled setting.
But why does that matter so much?
Yeah.
I can hear a skeptic saying, can't a player just adjust their aim?
It matters because of the body's biomechanical response. Let's take a roll variable. When the ball is significantly above your feet, your swing plane naturally flattens out.
Because the ground is closer to your hand.
Exactly. And because the plane flattens, the club face tends to point left at impact for a right-handed player. If you haven't physically trained your body to adjust its center of gravity and offset that aim point, you're going to pull that shot left every single time.
The TruePR allows you to isolate that specific variable.
Yes. You can drill it until the compensation becomes subconscious.
And the text also mentions it supports multiple turf options.
Yes, which is crucial for contact feedback. Hitting off a tight, hard lie feels vastly different than hitting out of thick rough.
Right.
But the real value, structurally, is establishing muscle memory for those non-flat lies. Think about the ambitious amateur golfer who always struggles with the ball below their feet. The classic slice lie.
It is a nightmare shot for a lot of players.
And typically they have absolutely no way to practice that unless they go out and find a weird, uneven spot on the driving range, which most facilities don't even allow.
Yeah.
With this system, they can hit that specific slice-lie shot 100 times in a row in a safe, climate-controlled environment.
It effectively eliminates the excuse of, I just didn't know how to adjust. You can literally dial in the difficulty.
Exactly.
Now, moving to the short game. The second tier is the putting solution, designated as True Break. This seems like a completely different engineering challenge.
It really is. With the full swing, you are managing dynamic balance, heavy ground forces, and attack angle. With putting, you are managing visual prediction, start line, and fine motor speed control. The True Break system focuses entirely on realistic breaking putts.
Which is huge because the flat earth problem is even worse in putting, isn't it?
Mhm.
If you only practice on a flat indoor mat, you are literally only learning to hit a straight line.
Exactly. You are training your stroke mechanics, sure, but you aren't training your vision. You are completely decoupling the read from the execution.
Which is the hardest part of putting.
Right. The TrueBreak platform changes that. But what is truly fascinating in the source material here is the integration of projected training aids.
How does that work? Is it a form of augmented reality?
Essentially, yes. The system integrates with professional analysis technology to project optical lines and data directly onto the putting surface itself.
So the floor is tilting, and there are lasers or projections on it.
Yes. So not only does the floor physically tilt to create, say, a 3% left-to-right breaking putt, but the system can visually show you the ideal start line, the speed capture pace required, and the exact break point painted right on the turf.
That is a massive leap for perceptual training. You aren't just guessing anymore. You are validating your read in real time.
It is a closed-loop validation. The text also mentions customizable drills and interactive games. Now, this obviously prevents the sheer boredom of repetitive indoor practice.
Nobody wants to hit straight putts for an hour.
No one. But from a pure performance standpoint, the professional-grade analysis tools are the key. You are getting granular data on your putting stroke in the context of a breaking putt.
Which is infinitely more valuable than data on a flat putt.
Infinitely. If you push a putt slightly on a flat mat, it just goes right and maybe catches the lip.
But if you push a putt on a fast left-to-right breaker,
You miss the hole by 3 feet. The penalty is real. The physics multiply your error.
okay, so we have a dedicated solution for the long game and a dedicated solution for the short game. But the flagship innovation described in the documents is the combination of the two. This is System 3, called TrueSlope.
This is the apex of the technology, the combined ecosystem. The TrueSlope platform is the all-in-one solution. It seamlessly merges the capabilities of the uneven lie, full swing with the breaking putt technology.
The source text describes this specific tier as closing the gap between indoor and outdoor golf. Now, that is a bold marketing claim.
It is bold, but the engineering actually backs it up. This single platform allows you to, say, hit a drive off the tee. Then, the simulator software registers where you landed.
Right.
The unit automatically adjusts to give you your approach shot from a sidehill lie. You hit your iron, and then, once your ball hits the virtual green, the exact same platform recalibrates to simulate the physical break of your resulting putt.
That is incredible. You are playing a continuous round of golf without ever stepping off the platform.
Exactly.
The continuity there is what strikes me. In traditional simulators, you hit your approach shot, then you have to stop. You walk over to a computer, maybe move the ball to a different putting mat. It feels entirely disconnected.
It ruins the flow state.
Right, but here, you effectively have to play the break
You
immediately.
have to read it, feel the slope in your feet, and execute it. It forces you to constantly engage your proprioception.
Proprioception. The body's awareness of its position in space.
Yes. Your brain relies heavily on input from your ankles and your inner ear to balance. That is what makes this system accurate and playable, as described in the text. It simulates the physical demands of the sport, not just the visual ones.
I want to shift gears to validation, because in the world of high-tech sports training, there's a lot of vaporware out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of prototypes that look great on video but never actually work in a live environment. But this technology seems to have significant industry adoption already. The sources mention a very specific elite user base.
Yes, the adoption curve is very telling here. The text explicitly cites PGA professionals, NCAA programs, and elite training facilities worldwide.
That is a heavy hitter list. Let's focus on the collegiate level. Why are NCAA programs investing in this? College athletic budgets are tight. They don't buy toys just for the sake of it.
It comes down to recruitment and elite development. If you are a top-tier collegiate program, you obviously need to offer the best facilities to attract top talent.
Sure, an arms race.
But more importantly, you need to properly prepare your athletes for competition, especially northern teams that spend all winter indoors. Training on a flat surface for 4 months simply doesn't prepare a player for a complex, undulating tournament course in Florida or California.
It is a massive competitive disadvantage.
It was. But these institutions now rely on this dynamic technology to, as the text says, bridge the gap between off-course practice and on-course performance.
It's essentially risk mitigation. You're deliberately reducing the variables that can surprise an athlete's nervous system during a live round.
Precisely.
And the broader industry has formally recognized this innovation as well, hasn't it?
Yes, the accolades are significant and worth noting. The technology received Best in Show at the PGA Show.
Now, for the listener who might not know, the PGA Show is essentially the Super Bowl of golf trade shows. Winning Best in Show, there is not a small feat.
No, it is highly competitive. Every major tech brand is there. And it is important to note exactly why it won. The sources highlight that it was awarded specifically for revolutionary training technology.
Revolutionary is a strong word.
It caught the eye of industry leaders because it fundamentally transforms how players engage with simulator golf. It takes it from a passive screen to an active physical environment.
There was another award mentioned in the literature as well, the Golf Week Tech Lab.
Yes, it won Best in Show for athlete performance.
Athlete performance.
That specific phrasing is key. It wasn't just awarded for being a cool visual gadget. It was awarded because it demonstrably enhances the actual performance capability of the athlete. It provides realistic feedback that translates to the real world.
That feedback loop is everything in coaching. If the feedback your body gets is fake, the learning is fake. But if the feedback is real, the improvement is real.
That is the core of motor learning.
Which brings us to the final piece of this ecosystem. We have discussed the hardware extensively, the robotic platforms, the actuators. But the source material places a massive emphasis on the software and coaching side, specifically something they call the Digital Academy.
This represents a major shift from simply selling a hardware product to selling a comprehensive performance solution.
What is the all-in-one concept here?
The source describes it as a platform bringing together the world's best coaches and technology. It's an online academy, but it is deeply integrated with the hardware itself.
So it is not just watching a generic swing video on your phone and trying to copy it.
No, not at all. Because the platform is fully connected, a remote coach isn't just looking at a 2D video of your swing. They can theoretically prescribe specific automated drills that utilize the physical slope of your machine. The text mentions a personalized and immersive experience.
That word personalized is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It is. But think about the practical implications. If you are struggling with downhill lies, your coach can log in and assign a training regimen that specifically commands the TruePR platform in your house to drill a 4-degree downhill lie.
You aren't just getting generic swing advice, you are getting environmental conditioning. It effectively decentralizes elite coaching. You can be in your home simulator in London and your coach can be in Arizona, but you are both actively working on manipulating the exact same physical variables.
And that really is the future of coaching. It moves beyond just fix your wrist angle at the top to here is how your lower body needs to handle this specific terrain. It adds a layer of tactical and physical training that was previously impossible indoors.
It is fascinating to see how the software and hardware are converging so cleanly. The platform tilts in real time. The AR analysis tools project the data onto the turf, and the Digital Academy provides the human insight. It really is a complete ecosystem.
It creates a perfectly closed loop of improvement. You assess the weakness, you physically simulate the condition, you train the correction under realistic constraints, and you validate the result with data. That is the definition of high-performance training.
I want to drill down just a bit deeper into the biomechanical necessity of this before we wrap up. We talked about pitch and roll, but let's talk about the human body. What actually happens to the central nervous system when an athlete trains exclusively on flat ground for years?
It is a great question. The human nervous system is an absolute efficiency machine. It craves homeostasis.
Predictability.
Exactly. If you stand on a flat mat for 10,000 hours, your nervous system rigorously optimizes your balance strategy for exactly 0 degrees of slope. It micro-adjusts all your stabilizer muscles, the glutes, the core, the micro-movements, and the ankles. It tunes them all for a perfectly static environment.
So you become a supreme master of the flat lie.
You become a master of an entirely artificial environment. Then you go to an actual golf course. The ground is naturally undulating. You step up to a shot, and your brain receives immediate sensory input that the ground is 3 degrees downhill and 2 degrees left.
And what does the brain do?
It panics. It literally doesn't have a refined motor program for that specific data set. So your balance wavers, your muscle tension spikes, your confidence drops, and you inevitably hit a poor shot.
And the tragedy is, the player usually blames their swing mechanics. They walk away saying, oh, I came over the top on that one.
Right, but they didn't come over the top because their swing is broken. They came over the top because their body was desperately trying to find stability on a surface it wasn't trained for.
It is a survival reflex.
Exactly. The dynamic platform inoculates the player against this reflex. By constantly varying the slope during practice, you keep the nervous system adaptable. You are training raw athleticism, not just rigid technique.
That distinction, athleticism versus technique, is vital. Technique is just the shape of the motion. Athleticism is the ability to apply that motion effectively in chaos.
Perfectly said. And golf is inherently a game of environmental chaos. We have tried to sterilize it indoors for way too long. This technology finally brings the chaos back, but in a controlled, measurable way.
Let's look at the putting aspect again through that lens of chaos. The TruePR system. The source mentions interactive games. Is that just gamification for entertainment, or is there a real training utility there for an elite player?
It is both, honestly, but the training utility is incredibly high. It comes down to one word: pressure.
How so?
If you are playing an integrated game where you have to make a breaking putt to level up or to beat a specific metric score, you introduce a psychological element of consequence.
It simulates the heart rate spike of a 4-footer for par on the 18th hole.
It tries to, yes. On a static mat, there is absolutely zero consequence to a miss. You just lazily rake another ball over with your putter and hit it again.
There is no reset penalty.
Right. But if the floor literally has to reset, and the projector is actively showing you the exact line you failed to hit, and the system is permanently logging your make percentage on fast right-to-left breakers,
You start to care?
you start to care deeply, and when you care, your heart rate goes up, your grip pressure changes. That state of mild stress is where real motor learning happens.
It seems like the golf industry is finally catching up to what other high-performance sports have done for decades. Formula One drivers use simulators that replicate intense G-forces. Pilots simulate violent turbulence.
Yes.
But golfers have just been simulating the pretty view on a screen.
That is a perfect analogy. Visual simulation is simply not physical simulation. We have had incredible visual fidelity for years. Now, with this advanced tilting technology, we finally have the physical simulation to match it.
So what does this all mean for the serious golfer listening right now? We have covered the flat earth problem, the precise engineering of the tilt, the 3 tiers of the system, and the heavy validation from the professional industry.
If we synthesize all the data we've looked at today, the conclusion is overwhelmingly clear. Precision engineering, when combined directly with real-world dynamic variables, is the only way to create an accurate and playable solution for off-course golf.
It is the new baseline.
It is. If you are truly serious about elite performance, static training is no longer sufficient. From a competitive standpoint, it is obsolete.
It goes right back to that core idea of true immersion. The goal isn't just to practice swinging the golf club. The goal is to practice playing the game of golf.
Exactly. The technology we've analyzed, the true slope, the true break, it exists solely to remove the artificial barriers of indoor practice. It makes the indoor environment hostile in a really good way.
It forces
It
adaptation.
makes it challenging. It makes it real.
And that leads us to the ultimate takeaway for this session. Elite performance requires training for reality, not for a perfectly flat map. If you want to perform under highly variable conditions outside, you must train under highly variable conditions inside.
It is just the fundamental principle of specificity in sports science. You play on a dynamic surface, therefore you must practice on a dynamic surface. Anything else is just a compromise.
Before we sign off today, I want to leave you, the listener, with a provocative thought to consider the next time you step into a static simulator bay. If your practice environment completely eliminates the very variables you face on the course, the slope, the lie, the complex break, are you actually training or are you just exercising?
That is the real question.
Train smarter, think clearer, reduce risk.